Welcome, travelers of time and myth, to Forgotten Scrolls. Have you ever felt overwhelmed by the noise of the modern world, yearning to escape to an era where silence was a weapon? This story is for those who seek to disconnect from the day's worries and immerse themselves in profound mystery. Breathe deeply, because what follows is a journey unlike any other. For centuries, the ninjas moved in the deepest shadows of Japan, weaving an intricate web of secrets, perilous missions, and hidden skills. More than mere assassins, they were silent spies, swift messengers, sages of stillness, and invisible guardians. We will come to know their mysterious origins in the mountains, their unique and often surprising weapons, and their elusive strategies that confounded every enemy. This is not just a tale of action, it is also a quiet meditation on profound discipline, astute cunning, and a deep spiritual connection to the world around them. Throughout this captivating journey, we will explore how they came into being, how they trained their bodies and minds, what their most secret techniques truly were, and how they intimately intertwined with the ebb and flow of war and politics. We will also discover how their subtle influence continues to thrive today, both in popular culture and in modern strategic thought. Each chapter is meticulously designed to gently relax your mind while simultaneously nourishing your deepest imagination. It will be like quietly reading an ancient scroll under the soft glow of a dim lantern. This story is thoughtfully crafted for you who struggle against anxiety, against insomnia, or against the heavy weight of constant swirling thoughts. If you long for a refuge where time itself seems to pause, and only the story and your peaceful breath exist, you have arrived at the perfect place. There is no rush here, only soft words that will accompany you on a path of discovery and profound rest. There are no tests here, only the timeless beauty of the hidden. Remain until the very end, for upon the conclusion of this adventure, you will uncover fascinating curiosities that will forever change the way you perceive the ninjas. Now, prepare to journey to the veiled valleys of feudal Japan, where the faint echo of footsteps could signify life or indeed the silence of death. Adjust your pillow, dim the lights, and allow the whispers of the past to confide their secrets to you. We begin when you are ready. Chapter 1. The Birth of Shadows. Deep within the secluded Japanese mountains, far removed from the clamor of the great feudal lords, the first subtle indications of what would later be known as ninjas began to emerge. They were not created by imperial decree nor born of noble blood, but forged by the stark necessity of survival in a world rife with brutal violence and profound injustice. Peasants, wandering monks, and former soldiers who had lost their lands quietly began to unite in secret. They sought to protect their communities without directly confronting the overwhelming established power. Thus began to form a hidden, intricate network of silent resistance. Unlike the samurai, whose honor bound them to a rigid and visible code, these nascent ninjas embraced flexibility as their paramount virtue. They rejected frontal combat and the pomp of open warfare to instead embrace profound silence and astute tactical intelligence. They intuitively understood that sometimes the most effective way to triumph was simply not to be seen. That very philosophy shaped them, leading them to meticulously study the enemy's movements with boundless patience and subtle cunning. Slowly, anonymity itself transformed into their most impenetrable shield. In the villages where insecurity reigned, rumors began to gain quiet traction. It was whispered that figures clad in dark garments descended from the ancient trees at night to rescue innocents or to steal crucial secrets from heavily guarded castles. Many truly believed they were spirits, living shadows sent by unseen, greater forces. In reality, they were men and women who had learned to become utterly one with their surrounding environment. The myth began to grow even before they possessed a name of their own. Historically, their genesis is often placed around the 15th century, a tumultuous period of intense internal conflict within Japan. Wars between warring clans and ambitious feudal lords left the country fragmented and rife with pervasive betrayals. It was within this very chaos that the art of ninjutsu found fertile ground. In dire need of invisible allies, some lords began to discreetly hire these warriors of stealth for missions that no honorable samurai would ever deign to accept. It was there that their role solidified, weaving themselves into the very shadows of power. The earliest written records concerning them refer to them as shinobi, a word deeply implying concealment, profound patience, and unwavering perseverance. The term ninja arrived later, becoming more popularized in recent eras. However, both terms reflect the same core essence: to act without being seen, to strike without being heard. Instead of imposing themselves through overt force, they preferred to infiltrate, to disinform, and to meticulously observe. They were not merely assassins, they were also sages in the intricate art of invisibility. The region of Iga, alongside Koga, became synonymous with ninja wisdom. These mountainous and densely forested lands offered a natural, secluded refuge for those who wished to escape the oppressive control of the great lords. There, the clans began to meticulously develop their own unique schools, transmitting ancient knowledge from generation to generation. Every technique was taught in profound secrecy, accompanied by solemn oaths of unwavering loyalty and absolute silence. The wild forest was their rigorous classroom, and the whispering wind their constant, unseen ally. In their nascent stages, the life of a ninja was harsh and relentlessly demanding. There were no grand rewards, no public glory, only the quiet satisfaction of protecting their own and surviving. They lived with the bare minimum, trained with whatever was available, and learned to move as an intrinsic part of the landscape. Every step they took was meticulously calculated. Every word they uttered was precisely measured. No one was ever to know who they truly were or what they truly did, for their strength resided in profound anonymity. Over time, the ninjas developed their own distinct codes, sharply differing from the samurai's bushido. They sought not honor for honor's sake, but rather efficacy and sheer survival. If that meant disguising themselves, spying, or even retreating, they did so without hesitation. Their ethics were firmly rooted in tangible results, not in outward appearances. This practical philosophy often rendered them misunderstood, yet it also allowed them to achieve the seemingly impossible. Their very birth was also a direct response to the abuse of power. Where samurai imposed order through the blatant force of the sword, ninjas emerged as the invisible defenders of the forgotten. They were the silent rebellion of the downtrodden, nature's quiet answer to pervasive tyranny. Their very existence defied traditional power structures, serving as a stark reminder that even in the deepest darkness, justice can indeed arise. This silent ideal marked the inception of their enduring legacy. Although they possessed no grand castles or lofty titles, the ninjas subtly influenced the history of Japan from within its shadows. Their profound contribution is not measured in battles won, but in crucial secrets unearthed, in countless lives saved, and in the confusion spread among their powerful enemies. In official archives, they barely appear, yet in the quiet whispers of history, they are omnipresent. Their indelible mark is inscribed in the invisible, like a secret ink, that reveals itself only in the profound silence of night. Many deemed them traitors or dishonorable spies, yet their role was far more complex. They were shrewd strategists, vital informants, silent protectors, and quiet transmitters of arcane knowledge. They were not confined to mere combat. They possessed a deep understanding of human psychology, of the intricate rhythms of nature, and of the subtle energy of their surroundings. What truly rendered them legendary was not overt violence, but their profound comprehension of the art of surviving without ever being noticed. Thus were the ninjas born, not from grandiosity, but from dire necessity. In the encroaching gloom, they discovered immense strength. In the profound silence, they found their ultimate purpose. And though their individual names may have vanished into the mists of time, their collective legacy continues to live vibrantly in every story that remembers them. Now that you understand their unique origin, prepare to delve into the deepest secrets of their most prized art, Absolute Stealth. Chapter 2. The Art of Absolute Stealth. To be utterly invisible in a world that ceaselessly observes is an art that only a select few truly master. For the ninjas, stealth was not simply a skill, it was an entire way of existing. It was not merely about walking without sound, but about seamlessly merging with the environment, transforming into a part of the whispering wind or a fleeting shadow cast by the night. Mastering this, profound art demanded unwavering discipline, boundless patience, and an intimate understanding of both the body and the surrounding world. Every step had to be absolutely silent, every movement meticulously calculated with millimeter precision. Ninjas practiced a technique known as shinobi-iri, the art of entering without being detected. They learned to walk on wooden floors without causing a single creak, to move across rooftops without awakening even a single guard dog. They even mastered the subtle art of controlling their breathing to avoid altering the ambient sounds around them. This practice was so advanced that they could stand mere inches from a person without being discovered. Silence became their second skin, an invisible armor. Stealth also encompassed masterful camouflage. Ninjas wore dark clothing, but not always pure black. They understood that absolute black could stand out against certain moonlit nights. Therefore, they chose shades of gray, bluish hues, or dark browns, meticulously adapting to each specific terrain. They also knew how to mask their scent and leave false trails to confuse the enemy. In forests, they moved like wild animals. In cities, like fleeting human shadows. Mastering stealth demanded controlling the body like a finely tuned puppet. Ninjas practiced moving with relaxed muscles, free of unnecessary tension. They walked heel first, cushioning each footfall. They trained for hours on how to open doors without a creak, how to fall from a height without making a sound. The ground itself became both an ally and an enemy, and every sound was a risk that had to be avoided at all costs. But stealth was not only physical, it was deeply mental. A ninja had to quiet their mind, reduce their breathing, control the very rhythm of their heart. They learned to wait motionless for hours, to maintain profound calm even in the face of imminent danger. Inner serenity was paramount to remaining undetected. If the heart quickened, if the mind wavered, the body would betray their presence. To be stealthy began from within. A ninja's senses were extraordinarily sharpened. They could detect minute changes in ambient temperature, faint distant sounds, or almost imperceptible movements. This allowed them to anticipate risks and choose the precise moment to act. If a guard coughed or a torch flickered, it could signify an opportunity or a hidden trap. They learned to read the invisible signs of the environment as if they were words, written with fire. The art of stealth also extended to disguise. Ninjas were masters of visual deception. They would dress as monks, merchants, or beggars to infiltrate without arousing suspicion. They knew how to alter their voice, their gait, and even their body posture. A good disguise was not just clothing, it was a completely new identity. Thus, they moved among enemies like phantoms clad in flesh. Rooftops were their secret pathways. While everyone else used the streets, they glided, silently over houses like stealthy cats. They knew how to calculate distances, leap from one point to another unseen, and avoid illuminated spots. From the heights, they observed the enemy, planned escape routes, and awaited the precise moment to act. The urban world transformed into a chessboard, and they were its invisible pieces. During their missions, every movement had a purpose. There were no unnecessary gestures, no wasted steps. Every second counted, and the slightest error could mean death. Stealth was not merely an advantage, it was the decisive difference between success and failure. That is why they trained it as if it were the very core of their existence. And in many ways, it was. Silence was also a language. Ninjas communicated with hand signals, with hand codes, with secret marks on trees or stones. Stealth did not imply isolation, but an alternative, profound form of connection. They learned to read the night's whispers and respond with imperceptible movements. Thus, they operated as coordinated groups without exchanging a single audible word. Even when they attacked, they did so with the least possible noise. A swift, precise, and silent action was always preferred over a prolonged struggle. The ninja had to vanish before their victim fell to the ground. That was the essence of stealth, to leave no trace of their presence or their departure, so that enemies would wonder if what occurred was real or merely a disturbing dream. Thus, the art of stealth became the very core of the ninja soul. More than a technique, it was a philosophy of life, a way to act in a hostile world without confronting it head-on, to be wind, to be shadow, to be void. That is what made a true ninja. Chapter 3. Tools of the Shadow Walker. Though stealth was their paramount weapon, ninjas were never truly defenseless. Their arsenal was meticulously designed to be light, easily concealed, and remarkably versatile, allowing them to adapt to any given situation. Unlike samurai, who proudly displayed their swords, ninjas preferred smaller, surprising, and often improvised weapons. Creativity was paramount in their equipment. Every object could serve more than one purpose. The traditional katana was often replaced by a shorter, straighter sword called the ninjato. Its blade was less curved, but easier to handle in confined spaces. Moreover, its scabbard could double as a snorkel for underwater breathing, or a measuring tool for scaling. Some ninjas even concealed gunpowder or darts inside its hilt. This sword was not merely a weapon, but a multifunctional tool in expert hands. One of their most iconic weapons was the shuriken, also known as a throwing star. Though lethal in trained hands, its primary use was to distract, injure, or delay the enemy. They came in many shapes and sizes, and ninjas typically carried several hidden within their clothing. The shuriken did not aim to kill, but to create chaos and open escape routes. Its silent whistle in the eye, darkness was the subtle signal that a ninja was near. The kunai was another essential tool. It resembled a small, triangular dagger, but its true value lay in its versatility. It could be used as a knife, a hook, a lever, or even for digging. Many ninjas tied it with a rope for scaling walls or hanging from branches. It was not sophisticated, yet incredibly practical for any mission. Smoke bombs were fundamental for vanishing in seconds. They used mixtures of ash, saltpeter, and charcoal to create thick clouds that blinded the enemy. By throwing them to the ground, the ninja could change position or flee unseen. Some versions included irritants for the eyes, increasing confusion. It was a way to manipulate the environment in seconds and turn surprise into a decisive advantage. Makibishi were small iron spikes with sharp points scattered on the ground. Their purpose was to halt pursuit or injure bare feet. When stepped on, the enemy would stop due to pain or discomfort, allowing the ninja to gain precious time. They could be thrown quickly and were almost invisible in the dark. Even horses became useless upon stepping on them during a chase. Ninjas also used tools for climbing and moving silently. Metal claws called shuko or ashiaro were tied to hands and feet. They allowed for easy climbing of trees or walls, leaving few marks. They were also used as weapons in hand-to-hand combat. Their design was simple yet effective, and in expert hands, they could change the course of a complicated mission. Rope was another indispensable element, known as kusari or shinobinawa. It served for climbing, tying enemies, or setting traps. Sometimes it had weights or hooks at its ends to latch onto rooftops or branches. A ninja with a rope could ascend a wall without ladders or set a deadly trap in seconds. It was an element as simple as it was vital in the ninja repertoire. Besides physical weaponry, they also carried small useful objects like mirrors, fishing hooks, blinding, powders, and even pills to calm pain or feign death. Anything that could facilitate infiltration or a quick escape was welcome. Some ninjas crafted their own personalized kits, adapted to their specific missions. Every tool was part of a larger, intricate strategy. The ninja's clothing had no adornments. Every fold, every seam had a purpose. They concealed weapons, stored objects, and allowed complete freedom of movement. Even their footwear was designed for silent walking and climbing slippery surfaces. Functionality reigned over aesthetics. To be invisible required attention to the minutest detail in dress. On some occasions, ninjas also used rudimentary explosives, small clay or metal bombs filled with black powder that could be thrown to cause noise, fire, or destruction. They did not seek direct combat, but they knew how to create chaos when needed. These explosions could be the beginning of an infiltration or the perfect distraction to vanish into the shadows. Thus, with an arsenal more filled with ingenuity than brute force, ninjas faced their missions. Every tool told a story of adaptation and survival. More than traditional warriors, they were silent alchemists of the invisible. Chapter 4. Silent Missions, Hidden Purpose. The very heart of the ninja's life was not direct combat, but the profound art of the secret mission. While samurai shone brightly under the sun of honor, ninjas thrived in the subtle gloom of information and cunning. Their tasks were silent, perilous, and often solitary. They spied, they stole, they infiltrated, and on occasion they eliminated specific targets. They were living shadows with invisible purposes. One of their most common missions was the infiltration of enemy castles. They would enter fortresses deemed impossible to conquer by brute force, utilizing hidden tunnels, rooftops, or elaborate disguises. They would pose as gardeners, monks, merchants, or even humble servants to acquire crucial information. Once inside, they meticulously observed movements, maps, guards, and closely guarded secrets. Every detail was precious gold to their lords. To spy was not merely to see, it was to profoundly comprehend. Ninjas learned to read behaviors, to listen from afar, and to recall with absolute precision. They took no written notes. They memorized every key word, every map, every structural detail of the location. Then, they would escape as silently as they had entered. The paramount goal was not to be seen, but to leave. No trace whatsoever. Success meant returning with vital information without anyone ever knowing they had been there. Some missions demanded the theft of important documents, seals, or crucial artifacts. For these tasks, they employed specialized tools and extreme stealth skills. They left no doors ajar nor locks visibly forced. Everything appeared untouched the next morning, save for the critical void they had created. These operations could last hours, or even days, hidden in obscure corners, patiently awaiting the precise moment. There were even more perilous missions, selective assassinations. Although not their primary function, ninjas could eliminate key figures at critical junctures. They performed these tasks without noise, without spectacle. A silent death in the night could irrevocably change the course of a war. They sought no glory, only results. Often their victims never even knew they were in danger. The information they gathered was delivered to the daimyo or feudal lord who hired them. In many cases, these missions prevented entire wars or allowed for the anticipation of enemy movements. They were also used to subtly manipulate alliances, to blackmail, or to sow discord among rival clans. They were invisible pieces on the grand chessboard of Japanese feudal power. Without them, many kingdoms might have crumbled. Some missions required them to move among villages as common travelers. They would subtly gather rumors, converse with merchants, and listen in bustling markets. Every conversation was a clue, every gesture a potential signal. They blended with the populace as if they were part of the very landscape, and when night fell, they would synthesize all that information in their minds to deliver it to those who paid for their services. The ninjas' versatility in secret missions was almost supernatural. They could adapt to diverse climates, cultures, and languages. Some were dispatched to distant regions to learn foreign customs and return with invaluable knowledge. Others were experts in sabotage, setting fire to arsenals or contaminating wells. Every action served a strategic objective far beyond the visible. Many ninja clans developed unique espionage techniques that they shared with no one. These ranged from using mirror signals to elaborate body language among companions. They had secret codes written in poetry and methods for concealing messages within drawings. Creativity was as essential as bravery. Their world was enveloped in riddles and hidden meanings. Although these missions were often successful, the ninja lived in constant peril. If discovered, torture and execution were inevitable. For this reason, many carried hidden poison to avoid falling into enemy hands. Some would even feign being simple peasants until the very end, denying all knowledge. Discretion was their ultimate shield, and silence their salvation. History has largely minimized many of these feats due to their inherently secret nature. But behind every visible battle victory, there was likely a meticulously executed ninja mission. Their role in the history of feudal Japan was as decisive as it was invisible. Every shadow held a story. Every false step could cost a life. Espionage was the art of surviving without being remembered. Chapter 5. The Legendary Clans. In feudal Japan, where wars were ceaseless and power constantly shifted hands, legendary ninja clans emerged. They were not mere families, but entire lineages dedicated to the intricate arts of stealth, profound strategy, and sheer survival. Each clan meticulously guarded its secrets, and its unique techniques were passed down from generation to generation, like an invisible treasure. These clans did not merely train warriors, they cultivated an entire philosophy of life lived within the shadows. Through the passage of time, certain names began to resonate with a mysterious power. The Iga clan became one of the most widely recognized throughout Japan. Their mountainous and difficult-to-access territory was perfectly suited for concealing their villages and training grounds. They developed unique techniques of espionage and silent combat, becoming feared even by the samurai. Many daimyo hired their services for tasks that no other could possibly perform. For centuries, the name Iga was synonymous with invisibility and lethal efficiency. Very nearby, in another mountainous region, the Koga clan flourished. Rivals and sometimes allies of the Iga, the Koga were equally skilled, but possessed a slightly different style. Their approach was more flexible, and many of their missions demanded intense creativity and improvisation. They were masters of disguise and poison, and specialized in the psychological manipulation of their enemies. Their reputation grew to the point of being hired by imperial families. Both clans shared some common knowledge, yet they also meticulously kept their own unique techniques a profound secret. It was said that the Iga preferred strict discipline and military organization, while the Koga opted for adaptation and independent thought. This duality strengthened the ninja world, creating a subtle balance between tradition and evolution. Their encounters were rare, but when they occurred, mutual respect was always profoundly present. Other smaller clans also left their indelible mark. The Fuma clan, for example, was renowned for its guerrilla tactics and sabotage. Its members were taller and more robust than other ninjas, and some records describe them as almost demonic in combat. They operated in the shadows of the shogunate and were accused of brutal attacks and acts of strategic destruction. Their leader, Fuma Kotaro, became a myth for his uncanny ability to escape from any situation. In the north, the Nagoro clan was famous for combining ninjutsu with the revolutionary use of firearms, something groundbreaking for the era. They trained in fortified temples and actively participated in armed rebellions against central power. Although they were not ninjas in the strictest sense, their tactics were so similar that over time, they were grouped within the same secret world. Their existence demonstrates how the art of stealth expanded and adapted to new forms of warfare. Each clan possessed its own unique symbols, distinct ways of dressing, secret dialects, and internal codes of honor. Some bore hidden tattoos, others rings with tiny compartments for poison or messages. Even amidst a gathering of warriors, an Iga ninja could recognize a Koga ninja without the need for words. These invisible signals were part of the delicate tapestry that sustained their hidden world. The clans did not only produce warriors, they also trained physicians, spies, cartographers, messengers, and even artists. All of them contributed to the collective mission of keeping ninja knowledge alive and functional. It was a society within another, invisible yet deeply rooted in Japanese history. On occasion, their members would marry each other to strengthen secret alliances. Loyalty was not just to a cause, but to an entire heritage. Rivalry between clans could also generate conflict. Sometimes, silent wars erupted in the shadows, involving ambushes, sabotage, and mysterious disappearances. But these disputes rarely came to light, because a ninja who brought shame upon their clan was utterly repudiated by all. Harmony was maintained largely by a profound respect for ninjutsu as a sacred. Breaking that delicate balance was considered an unforgivable betrayal. With the passage of time, the clans were persecuted by the central power, which feared their pervasive influence. Many were forced to disappear or dissolved into common society, concealing their skills, but some managed to survive in anonymity, passing their secrets to discreet descendants. Even today, there are those who claim that certain clans still exist, quietly awaiting the moment to act again. Legends about these clans have intertwined with popular tales, transforming ninjas into almost magical figures. But behind the myth were real people with difficult lives and extreme decisions. Their history is a complex blend of honor, pain, ingenuity, and profound loyalty. And though time may have erased their footsteps, the subtle imprint of the ninja clans remains among the ancient trees and majestic mountains of eternal Japan. Chapter 6. The Hidden Training. To become a ninja was neither a simple choice nor a fleeting fad. It was a rigorous path of life, a profound decision that demanded the renunciation of many comforts in pursuit of something greater: invisibility, profound wisdom, and absolute control over both body and mind. From a very young age, prospective ninjas were carefully selected and guided by strict masters in secluded and discreet locations. There were no open schools or official uniforms. Everything transpired in the shadows, far from the prying eyes of the outside world. The initial years of training were exceptionally harsh. Children were taught to move in profound silence, to observe without being seen, and to perceive every element of their surroundings as an intrinsic part of their own bodies. They slept on cold floors, ate simple meals, and spent hours utterly motionless in meditation. They learned to endure hunger, pain, and extreme fatigue without complaint. Each trial served as a natural filter, leaving behind those who were not ready to truly vanish. One of the fundamental pillars of their training was the absolute mastery of stealth. Walking without making a sound, scaling walls with ropes, traversing forests without leaving a single trace, all formed part of a relentless daily routine. For them, silence was not merely the absence of sound, but a profound form of communication with nature. They could move among dry leaves without disturbing their harmony, or cross a river without a single splash. The world transformed into a chessboard, and they were its invisible pieces. Physical endurance was also rigorously cultivated. They ran long distances barefoot, carried heavy backpacks filled with stones, and performed intricate balance exercises on the tallest trees. But beyond mere muscle, they trained elasticity, breath control, and coordination. A ninja had to be able to act in any situation without losing control. They were not crude fighters, but finely tuned instruments of survival. The mind, however, was considered the most paramount. They were trained in deep concentration, in managing fear, and in making swift, decisive decisions. They learned to read facial expressions, to anticipate movements, and to understand the psychology of the enemy. Logic games, memory exercises, and strategic puzzles were practiced from very early ages. In many cases, the instructors employed harsh methods, yet they knew that only through such rigor could a true warrior of the shadows be forged. An essential part of their learning was an intimate knowledge of plants, minerals, and animals. Future ninjas studied poisons, antidotes, medicinal herbs, and natural camouflage techniques. They learned to survive alone for days in the mountains or in snow without external aid. It was said that they could construct traps with branches and mud, and that they knew which fungi could save a life or take one. Nature was their silent master, and they were its devoted disciples. Their training was not solitary. Although there were moments of deep introspection, students lived in small groups where they learned the profound value of silent cooperation. They performed joint exercises where one had to cover another, completing a mission without the others noticing. Trust among them was vital, because in the real battlefield, one person's error could cost everyone their lives. Thus, invisible, almost telepathic bonds were forged. They were also trained in the art of acting. They had to be capable of assuming false identities, altering their manner of speech, dressing as humble peasants or monks, and deceiving even the most perceptive individuals. They practiced facial expressions, body postures, and regional accents. A ninja had to be capable of becoming anyone, anywhere, at any moment. This skill allowed them to infiltrate undetected and accomplish impossible missions without arousing suspicion. Nights were crucial moments. Many exercises were performed under the dim light of the moon or in complete darkness. It was during these times that they sharpened their senses most acutely, developing extraordinary hearing and touch. They learned to navigate by the stars, to distinguish faint, distant sounds, and to feel the subtle vibrations of the ground beneath their feet. Some accounts claim they could hear a branch creak hundreds of meters away or detect a presence with their eyes closed. As they progressed, students were tested with real challenges, recovering guarded objects, infiltrating houses undetected, escaping from locked locations. Failure did not mean physical punishment, but something far worse: disappointing the clan. The pressure was constant, but those who endured emerged transformed. Each training mission reminded them that their future lives would depend on every minute detail, on every silent step they took. Not all reached the end. Some abandoned the path. Others were redirected to less demanding roles within the clan. But those who persevered and completed the training were considered true shadows. They received their secret names, their first personal weapons, and the right to learn the clan's deeper secrets. They were no longer apprentices, they were guardians of hidden knowledge. Thus, in hidden temples, deep caves, or mist-shrouded mountains, the true ninjas were born, not by force or by fame, but by their unwavering dedication to the art of vanishing. In the next chapter, we will see how these silent shadows acted when war knocked upon Japan's gates, because even amidst chaos, there were those who fought unseen. Chapter 7. Ninjas in Times of War. When the relentless flames of war spread across Japan, the shadows too began to stir and move with purpose. Ninjas did not march openly like samurai armies, nor did they appear on official troop rosters. Their work commenced long before any battle was officially declared, operating in the deep obscurity, manipulating secret maps, and whispering rumors that seeped through the cracks of awareness. The daimyo understood that a ninja could irrevocably alter the course of a war without their name ever appearing in any historical chronicle. In those turbulent days, stealth itself was as lethal as any sharpened sword. During the Sengoku period, a time of incessant clan warfare and struggles for power, the services of ninjas were highly coveted. They infiltrated enemy castles, subtly sabotaged arsenals, and procured vital intelligence. While generals debated strategies in brightly lit war rooms, ninjas moved through subterranean tunnels and across invisible rooftops. On occasion, their mission was to avert a full-scale war by eliminating a key leader before they could launch an attack. At other times, they were tasked with igniting chaos with surgical precision. Contracts between ninjas and warlords were secret, sealed with few words but immense expectations. Sometimes they worked for multiple factions simultaneously, a feat that demanded unparalleled cunning. Their loyalty was not to emblems, but to the intricate codes that governed their very existence. Their reputation depended not on samurai honor, but on silent efficacy. They sought no glory on the open battlefield, but rather victory from within the shadows. Battles did not only unfold on open fields, they also raged in castle corridors, in enemy encampments, and in places where provisions were meticulously stored. Ninjas instinctively knew where to strike to destabilize an entire army without ever drawing a sword. Poisoning water, supplies, releasing horses from their stables, setting fire to storehouses, or stealing secret messages were all actions that could decisively alter the outcome of a campaign. And all of this they achieved unseen, leaving only pervasive uncertainty in their wake. During the nights preceding battles, rumors would circulate among the soldiers, whispers of shadows in the trees, of someone glimpsing a fleeting figure on the rooftops, of things mysteriously disappearing. The fear they instilled was a crucial part of their strategy. Sometimes, merely leaving a hidden mark, a subtle symbol that only a select few could interpret, was enough to unleash widespread panic within an entire troop. In such moments, ninjas proved more powerful than 1,000 arrows. However, not all was secret glory. Many ninjas lost their lives on impossible missions. Their bodies remained hidden, their names never spoken. There were no flower-adorned tombs, only profound silence. Yet, they knew their task was vital. They were crucial pieces in the game of war, though forever invisible. Every move they made was meticulously calculated, and the slightest error could cost them more than life itself. Eternal oblivion. One of the most emblematic instances of ninja use occurred during the siege of Odawara Castle. While Toyotomi Hideyoshi's armies encircled the formidable fortress, ninjas from the Hattori clan repeatedly infiltrated and extracted crucial information. It is said they ignited fires within the castle and demoralized the defenders from within. Although their role was not always documented, their presence was undeniable. Victory sometimes began with a whisper and concluded with a deep silence. On other occasions, ninjas were employed as war messengers, carrying vital secrets between allied clans. To avoid detection, they memorized messages instead of carrying scrolls. Their ability to traverse great distances undetected transformed them into vital links. They knew how to cross mountains, rivers, and battlefields without leaving a trace. In a world where a single letter could decide an alliance, their memory was more valuable than any sword. Female ninjas, known as kunoichi, also played a pivotal role during wartime. They infiltrated courts and residences as servants or concubines, and from these positions they obtained secrets, manipulated decisions, and sometimes executed lethal missions. Their cunning was often underestimated, which granted them a significant advantage. In a male-dominated environment, their ability to remain unseen was their most powerful weapon. Their participation demonstrates that the ninja art transcended gender and outward appearance. The relationship between ninjas and samurai during wartime was complex. Although ninjas were viewed with suspicion for their lack of traditional honor, they were also widely feared and respected. Many samurai lords depended on their services, even if they publicly denied it. On the battlefield, honor could wait. Victory was all that mattered. And when the drums fell silent, those who truly knew what had transpired were the ones who never appeared. As Japan began to unify, the use of ninjas in warfare gradually diminished. Peace brought with it less need for shadows. However, for centuries, they remained essential in the darkest moments of conflict. Their legacy in times of war was not written in ink, but in whispers and invisible acts. What they left behind was a silent echo, impossible to completely erase. Chapter 8. The Spiritual Legacy of the Shadows. Behind the pervasive stealth and meticulous strategy, the ninja cultivated a deep, profound, and profoundly silent inner world. Their rigorous training not only forged the physical body, but also meticulously tempered the very soul. They intimately understood that the mind must be sharper than any blade, and the spirit stronger than any steel. Thus was born a hidden path, a clandestine way of introspection, inner balance, and a subtle connection with unseen forces. They were not merely warriors of the night. They were also quiet guardians of an ancient, timeless philosophy. Ninjas practiced Seishin Teki Kyoyo, or spiritual discipline, which encompassed meditation, diligent study, and profound self-control. They would sit in profound silence for hours, observing the ceaseless flow of thought until it finally dissolved into nothingness. In that pure void, they found unparalleled clarity, keen intuition, and a profound inner calm that rendered them truly unstoppable. Through the mastery of their own minds, they came to master their entire environment. They acted not on mere impulse, but with profound mindful awareness. Nature served as their silent temple, their ultimate teacher. They learned from the ancient trees how to remain steadfast, from the flowing water how to adapt seamlessly, and from the whispering wind how to move utterly unseen. This deep spiritual connection with the natural world granted them an acute perception of life's intricate rhythms and timeless cycles. They harbored profound respect for all living beings, even those they were compelled to eliminate. Their lethality did not stem from hatred, but from an inevitable, quiet understanding of their duty. At the very heart of their spiritual practice lay the profound concept of detachment. A ninja could not afford to fear loss, for they had already released all worldly attachments. They sought neither vengeance nor fleeting glory, only to fulfill their mission with precise execution and profound serenity. They understood that death was an intrinsic part of the path, and therefore they faced it with wide-open eyes. This liberating vision rendered them immensely dangerous, for nothing truly tethered them to the material world. Many ninja clans incorporated elements of Zen Buddhism into their rigorous training. Zen taught them to act with an empty mind, to respond without conscious thought, as if each movement flowed directly from the pure soul. The present moment was their most powerful weapon. They did not concern themselves with the past, nor with the future. Only the now truly existed. And in that perfect instant, they made decisions that irrevocably changed the course of history. Martial arts were also viewed as a form of moving meditation. Every technique, every form, was executed with absolute mindfulness. Control of the body was a direct reflection of control of the mind. Even amidst profound violence, they sought inner harmony. This philosophy profoundly differentiated them from other warriors. While many sought to dominate others, the ninja relentlessly sought to master themselves. Breathing was a central pillar of their spirituality. They knew how to control their breath to calm the heart, to reduce the body's sounds, and to seamlessly merge with the night. Through precise breathing techniques, they could even endure cold, pain, or extreme fatigue. Breathing was more than mere living. It was merging with the universe. It was a silent dance between the visible and the invisible. The use of mantras and mudras also formed part of their spiritual life. These sacred formulas and gestures were more than superstition. They were powerful tools for concentration and mental protection. Before a mission, many would recite ancient words that resonated within them like an invisible shield. They believed these practices connected them with higher forces, guardians of balance, and profound mystery. Some accounts speak of ninjas who experienced visions during meditation, as if the universe itself revealed the path forward. In these moments of illumination, they comprehended the flow of destiny. They made decisions not based on logic, but on profound inner certainty. This heightened sensitivity rendered them utterly unpredictable. Where others perceived an obstacle, they saw a hidden opportunity. Compassion also formed a silent part of their code. Although they were trained assassins, they meticulously avoided unnecessary suffering. They understood that even their enemies were human, with their own stories, families, and fears. This compassion did not weaken them. Instead, it strengthened them. For one who kills without hatred acts with absolute clarity, and one who acts without ego becomes invisible even to themselves. At the end of their lives, many ninjas would quietly retreat, living as monks or hermits in the mountains. There they would continue their inner training, far, removed from weapons and the world's noise. In solitude, they found the profound peace they had always sought. Their names faded, but their spiritual legacy continued to subtly float among the trees and rivers. This spiritual aspect of the ninja is what has most endured through time. Even today, those who study their path do so not only for their physical techniques, but for their profound inner wisdom. The ninja was not merely shadow, they were also hidden light, and their deepest heritage lies not in their weapons, but in their silent soul, which still inspires those who seek balance between power and peace. Chapter 9. The Fading Echoes of Myth. As Japan transformed, so too did the role of the ninja. The era of constant warfare and clandestine struggles slowly gave way to a more structured and rigidly controlled age. The centralized power of the Tokugawa shogunate brought a new stability, but it simultaneously diminished the need for covert operations. The ninja clans, once indispensable, were gradually pushed into the deepest shadows of history. They were no longer crucial pieces on the political chessboard. They became mere phantoms of a fading time. Some clans attempted to adapt, offering their services as spies or secret protectors to important figures. Others simply dissolved, blending seamlessly into the common populace. The ancient knowledge, passed down for millennia, was now confined to increasingly closed circles. Without wars to justify their existence, many ninjas put away their weapons and vanished into anonymity. What was once feared and respected became a mere curiosity of the past. The isolation of the Edo period also contributed to the gradual disappearance of the ninjas. With a rigid government and strict surveillance, clandestine operations became extremely perilous. The shogunate controlled information, movements, and resources with an iron grip. In this new order, the ninja became an uncomfortable figure, bearing an art that no longer had a place. Thus, the silence they once used as a weapon became their silent tomb. And yet, as often happens with figures shrouded in mystery, the ninjas did not entirely perish. Instead of vanishing completely, they transformed into legend. Their exploits began to be embellished with wild exaggerations, blending historical facts with pure fantasy. They were attributed superhuman powers, such as invisibility, control over the weather, and the ability to walk on water. The populace, captivated by their hidden past, transformed ninjas into mythical heroes of a Japan that no longer existed. This mythification was fed by oral tales, popular books, and kabuki theater. Each new story rendered them more unattainable, more supernatural. It was said they could transform into animals, cast spells, or vanish in a puff of smoke. Although many of these stories were clearly fictitious, they helped keep the memory of the ninja vibrantly alive. Reality had been buried, but the myth flourished with renewed vigor. With the passage of time, the figure of the ninja became a powerful symbol of rebellion, cunning, and freedom. They were no longer merely secret agents, but hidden guardians of the people. They represented the powerful idea that even within an oppressive system, someone would always exist in the shadows, ready to act. This romantic image, though distant from historical truth, touched the hearts of many. The ninja became eternal precisely because they ceased to be strictly real. The Meiji Restoration in the 19th century brought about accelerated modernization. Japan opened to the world and began to adopt new technologies and military structures. In this context, the ancient arts of ninjutsu seemed like useless relics. However, some masters preserved the knowledge, secretly teaching it to chosen disciples. Although the world no longer strictly needed ninjas, the spiritual and technical lineage was not entirely erased. In the 20th century, researchers and enthusiasts began to meticulously study the true legacy of the ninja. Among ancient documents, war chronicles, and family accounts, they slowly reconstructed the truth behind the myth. What they discovered were not superheroes, but extraordinary individuals possessing profound discipline, keen intelligence, and unwavering courage. History slowly broke through the legends, restoring dignity to an ancient art. Today, we understand that many of the techniques attributed to ninjas were indeed real, though without the magic that fiction added. They used disguises, manipulated information, infiltrated fortresses, and created innovative tools. Their power lay in their minds, in the meticulous detail, in their thorough preparation. They did not need to literally disappear because their mastery of their surroundings rendered them invisible to untrained eyes. The myth was beautiful, but the reality was even more admirable. The decline of the ninjas was not a defeat, but an evolution. They knew when to withdraw and how to preserve their legacy. They did not fight against change. Instead, they dissolved into it like the smoke from their own bombs. Their disappearance was as precise as their movements, without noise, without a trace, without glory. And in that silent exit, they left an indelible mark on Japan's history. The true ninjas understood that victory was not always visible, that sometimes the wisest course was not to be remembered as a mere person, but as a timeless symbol. Their history fragmented, but their essence endured because the ninja, deep down, was an idea. That of the warrior who triumphs with the mind, who protects from the shadows, who vanishes so that others may live in peace. And so, in abandoned temples, in hidden texts, in the memory of the forests, the spirit of the ninja remains ever present. Perhaps they no longer walk among us, but their footsteps still resonate in those who seek excellence in profound silence. Their fall was the beginning of their eternity, and their myth, though adorned, is the gateway to a much deeper truth. Chapter 10. Ninjas in Popular Culture. When the ninja vanished from actual history, they began to powerfully emerge within the collective imagination. The 20th century brought with it an explosion of interest in the mysterious, the hidden, and the extraordinary. And in that fervent context, the ninja resurfaced with immense force, not as clandestine spies, but as iconic cultural figures. It was in literature, in cinema, and later in television where their figure truly gained new life. Now, the narratives no longer spoke of secret clans, but of solitary heroes possessing unparalleled skills. Japan was the first nation to fully embrace this new vision of the ninja. Classic Japanese films, such as those by director Akira Kurosawa, began to explore their figure with profound drama and distinctive style. Although often portrayed as antagonists to the samurai, they were also depicted as honorable beings in pursuit of justice. The Korean tight-fitting black suit, the throwing stars, and the impossible leaps became unmistakable hallmarks. It was the birth of the modern ninja. Japanese television swiftly transformed this figure into a phenomenon. Series like Kamen no Ninja Akakage in the 1960s featured colorful ninjas with seemingly supernatural powers. From then on, the ninja ceased to be a dark character and became more accessible, even heroic. A powerful bridge had been forged between ancient legend and modern entertainment. But it was with anime and manga that ninjas achieved true global fame. Works like Naruto transformed the ninja into a powerful symbol of effort, friendship, and personal growth. Although historically distant, these characters captured the essence of the silent warrior, blending real techniques with fantasy, offering adventures that resonated with millions worldwide. The ninja, thus reinterpreted, was more relevant than ever before. In the West, the ninja was adopted with equal enthusiasm. Martial arts films of the 1980s and 90s featured black-clad warriors confronting entire armies. Actors like Sho Kosugi popularized the ninja as a lethal and unbeatable figure. Then came characters like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, who skillfully blended humor, action, and family values. Historical accuracy no longer mattered. The ninja was now a global star. Video games also contributed enormously to this expansion. From classics like Shinobi and Ninja Gaiden to more modern characters like Scorpion from Mortal Kombat, the ninja figure became synonymous with power and agility. Controlling a ninja meant mastering shadows, attacking with precision, and vanishing without a trace. Every player, for a moment, transformed into that mythical warrior of legends. Curiously, while the ninja's image was becoming saturated with colors, powers, and magic, curiosity about their real history also grew. Documentaries, books, and interviews with ninjutsu masters began to gain prominence. People yearned to know what truth lay behind the fantastical feats, and they discovered that although much was invented, the essence of the ninja, Discipline, cunning, meticulous preparation was very real. Fiction fed truth, and vice versa. Hollywood cinema continued the legacy with films like American Ninja, Ninja Assassin, and even characters like Snake Eyes from G.I. Joe. Although artistic licenses were taken, all shared the same core: the ninja as a solitary, silent, and deadly warrior. Sometimes they were avengers, other times secret guardians, but they always maintained the aura of mystery that so fascinated the public. In the educational and cultural spheres, the ninja has also been used to capture the attention of young people. Interactive museums in Japan allow visitors to dress as ninjas, walk through secret passages, and learn about their techniques. On social media, influencers and martial artists demonstrate techniques inspired by traditional ninjutsu. Thus, the ninja figure also serves as a bridge between generations. Even in fashion and graphic design, the ninja aesthetic has left its mark. Tight black clothing, masks, and the minimalism of stealth inspire modern trends. In dance, music, and even character design in comics and films, traces of this visual legacy can be found. The ninja, with its elegant and functional profile, adapts perfectly to new cultural expressions. Its form evolves, but its essence remains. Throughout time, the ninja has achieved something rare: to be part of both the past and the present simultaneously. Whether as an action character, a symbol of wisdom, or a playful figure, their presence is constant. They are in schoolyards, on screens, in books, and in the dreams of those who aspire to something more. The modern ninja is a blend of history, myth, and the human desire for the extraordinary. Thus, in popular culture, the ninja found a new way to exist, not as the spy of old, but as a reflection of our ideals. Strength, cunning, balance, entertainment, and legacy merge into a powerful image that has transcended continents. The warrior who once inhabited the shadows now shines brightly in the world's imagination. Chapter 11: Whispers of the Ninja World. The world of ninjas is shrouded in a veil of profound mystery, and this is no mere coincidence. Throughout history, these silent warriors meticulously cultivated the art of discretion, to the extent that even today, it remains incredibly difficult to disentangle reality from the intricate weave of legend. However, amidst the myths and truths, there are countless curiosities that evoke astonishment. Some may bring a quiet smile, others spark deep wonder, and all bring us closer to that enigmatic world of shadows. It is like slowly drawing back a curtain that has remained tightly closed for centuries. One of the most notable curiosities is that ninjas did not always wear black clothing. In reality, they preferred attire that seamlessly blended with their surroundings. Browns, dark blues, or grays were far more common. Absolute black was more theatrical than practical, and its popularity grew thanks to kabuki theater and cinema. The true intention was simply not to be seen, and for that, meticulous camouflage was essential. To be invisible did not mean dressing as an absolute shadow, but rather as an intrinsic part of the landscape. Contrary to popular belief, ninjas did not rely exclusively on brute force or weaponry. Their intellect was, in fact, their most valuable tool. They learned to read intricate maps, to manufacture gunpowder, to precisely mix potent poisons, and to communicate using secret codes. They even developed rudimentary psychological techniques to manipulate their enemies or to gain the trust of their targets. Being a ninja was not only about knowing how to fight, but about profoundly understanding when not to. It was a war of minds as much as of swords. Ninjas were also masters of disguise. They could convincingly pass themselves off as humble peasants, serene monks, traveling artists, or shrewd merchants, and often sustained these roles for extended periods. This intricate art of social camouflage was known as henso jutsu. Indeed, one of the most challenging roles was that of a spy deeply infiltrated into an enemy court. Silence alone was insufficient. It demanded charisma, sharp intelligence, and an almost inhuman patience. A fascinating curiosity is that ninjas utilized animals for certain tasks. It is said they trained cats to walk silently on rooftops and dogs to sniff out poisons or to guide their path. They also imitated the sounds of crickets or owls to communicate in the night. Nature was not merely a backdrop for them, it was a profound ally. Understanding it was crucial for survival, and thus ninjas diligently studied animal behavior and the subtle signs of their environment. Records exist suggesting that ninjas could walk on water, at least partially. They used tools called mizugumo, resembling floats, to cross ponds or irrigation ditches. Although they did not function as depicted in films, they were ingenious adaptations that gave them a significant advantage. Furthermore, they learned to swim silently and submerge without leaving bubbles. Every tiny detail could mean the difference between life and death. Ninjutsu, the art practiced by ninjas, encompassed over 18 distinct disciplines. Some were physical, such as climbing, jumping, or armed combat. Others were mental or spiritual, like meditation, breath control, or map memorization. This versatility made the ninja a complete warrior. It was like a puzzle of skills meticulously assembled with precision, discipline, and years of silent practice. Another intriguing curiosity is the existence of female ninjas, known as kunoichi. These female warriors employed unique espionage and manipulation techniques based on their social position and gender. Many worked as servants or courtesans to get close to figures of power. On occasion, they were even more lethal than their male counterparts, precisely because they were consistently underestimated. Their training included poisons, small weapons, and intricate escape techniques. In many ancient texts, ninjas recorded their strategies in secret codes. One of the most famous was the use of ninja jargon, a system of keywords that concealed true meanings. They also used scrolls called densho, which were passed down only between masters and chosen disciples. Some of these texts are still preserved today, though many were lost in wars or destroyed for security reasons. Their content continues to fuel modern fascination. Curiously, some ninjas were also artists. They practiced calligraphy, poetry, or painting as a form of mental discipline and social camouflage. A ninja disguised as a poet could obtain information without arousing suspicion. This lesser-known facet reveals that they were more than just warriors. They were cultivated individuals, sensitive to their surroundings and capable of concealing their strength behind a tranquil smile. Their power often lay in appearing utterly harmless. There are also legends surrounding certain famous ninjas. Some accounts speak of ninjas who could become invisible, walk through flames, or communicate with spirits. While these stories are symbolic, they reflect the popular perception of the ninja as an almost supernatural being. In reality, these tales exaggerated real abilities such as speed, self-control, and strategic intelligence. They were human, yes, but extraordinary in their preparation. And finally, one of the greatest curiosities is that, despite their global fame, true ninjas never sought recognition. Their work was invisible by nature, and their success was measured in what went unnoticed. There were no medals or public honors, only silence, a mission accomplished, and a return to anonymity. In a world where ego reigned supreme, the ninja chose to vanish, and perhaps that is why their legend has never truly died. If this journey has touched your spirit, do not forget to follow us and become a member of the channel. Members get early access to new stories filled with wisdom and emotion. May the spirit of the ninja guide you on your own paths.